So my position on banning weapons is that it doesn't work. You can ban all the weapons you like. It just flat out does not work. People are still going to acquire those weapons. Banning weapons only penalizes law-abiding citizens. You're making criminals out of law-abiding citizens for the acts of a very, very few people. One of the things that was brought up, which is the false narrative that all these shooters are always, young white men or white men in general. And so after I got back home, I didn't realize that was going to be a topic at this event, or I would have done the research ahead of time. But I went back home and I pulled up an article from the Mother Jones website. And so, the Mother Jones website's pretty far left, and they had a list of all the shooters at the mass shootings. A mass shooting is any time one lone gunman kills 4 or more people. And so started going down through the names of the shooters. There was a whole lot of people in that list that were clearly not Caucasian. There were a lot of Asian men. There were Muslim men. There were Mexicans. You even had one Army psychiatrist, and the phrase I used was something like, if we can't even trust psychiatrists, who are we going to get to rob us of our Second Amendment rights? So, because the psychiatrists are the ones that are saying, well, this person shouldn't have a gun, that person shouldn't have a gun, but you had an Army psychiatrist that went on a shooting spree. So really, who are you going to trust? But the fact is that mass shootings are rare events. One article I cited at the event said that since it was 36 years ago. Is that 1982? I can't do that. So 1982, since 1982, they said that there had been 90 mass shootings. That was 4 or more people. And so that works out to fewer than 3 per year, or right at 3 per year, I should say. And so what would be? Let me finish, please. And so if you're talking about banning weapons for all Americans based on 3 incidents per year, which it's not gonna stop those events anyway, even if you did it. So to me, that's the wrong solution. It goes back to this whole principle of what we learn in school, which is if one kid is talking, nobody gets recess. Well, in the case of federal law, one kid's talking, so nobody in America gets recess, and that's the wrong policy to have.
So what would be the threshold to ban weapons? So if 3 is too low of a number to even think about banning a weapon, what is the number? Is 10 an acceptable number for mass shootings per year?
Well, I think there needs to be alternatives to just banning weapons. There's a lot of things. Well, I don't have a number for that.
I know you cited a number.
So 3 is way too low, and 3 is what's actually happening. So based on that, I would say that's way too low of a number. But my point was we didn't talk about the other things that could be done and the other common elements of these shootings. One, quite often, these are young men that have been ostracized and bullied at school. 2, it's often people that are on some sort of medication, some psychotropic or whatever drugs. And so you've got those factors. And 3, what could be done maybe at the schools to make the schools safer? Most of these schools are what they call gun-free zones. So you've issued basically an open invitation to crazy people with guns to come in there and shoot because they know there's not going to be any opposition. So there's alternatives there. You can allow teachers who want to carry a gun to school to carry a gun. And Second Amendment people believe every American has the right to self-defense, and that should be for teachers too. You should be allowed to carry a gun into school if you so feel as a teacher. So there are alternatives. We could talk about, metal detectors at schools, additional security at schools. Again, those things come with a cost, and it's prohibitive to try to put metal detectors in all the entrances to a large high school. I went to Henry Clay High School in Lexington. We had 2,000 plus people. Lord only knows how many different ways there were to come and go in that building. We were allowed to go in and out at lunch. And so if you're talking about security for a school that size, you're probably talking about 8 or 10 entry points minimum, where you would have to control the flow of students. And so you're going to have to, hire security people for that. Probably each security person is going to cost you a minimum $50,000 a year. That's salary, benefits, training, and then plus all the equipment. So everything in life, there's a cost. There's cost. There's benefits. There's trade-offs to anything and everything that you do. So if you're talking about putting more security in every school in America, there's 100,000 schools in America. I don't think that's cost effective. I don't think it's something that taxpayers want to spend money on. And I also think it's unnecessary. I think you could accomplish probably just as an effective policy with voluntarily allowing teachers who want to carry guns to school to carry guns. And that goes for other members of staff as well.
All right, I'd like to pick up on just one thing